going into the likes of Tuan Zaid Ibrahim and Co. You're talking about the likes of Tuan Lee Shamuddin. You're talking about the likes of Shen Dalamo, Screen. So these are the bigger firms. I was in Azmi Associate for 4 years. And then I went into a smaller firm, Tuan Jasbe No MD. There were about, if I'm not mistaken, 5 to 6 lawyers. So it's a different kind of structure between these two firms. Jasbe No MD is a boutique, a niche firm. It is doing mainly general litigation. And then after 1 year there, I went to join Azwa and Partners as one of the litigation partners there. I was there for 4 years. So I was in Azmi and Associate for 4 years, Jasbe No MD for 1 year, and litigation partner in Azwa and Partners, I think for 4 years, together with my learned friend here, Cik Fakri. We were together for about 4 years. And then in 2019, I opened up my own firm. I'm the managing partner here, together with my one other partner, Cik Azizuddin, also a UiTM graduate. And we have two other lawyers. One is from UiTM also, and now one pupil in Chambers, which has 1 month left for his pupillage. Why I'm telling you this is because there is a difference between these types of firms. The culture is different in Azmi and Associate. The culture is different in Jasbe No MD. And when you are a partner, obviously it vastly different from when you were still an associate. I will try to explain what is the difference between these type of firms. Now, when I was in before that, Puan Sarah was giving me some kind of guidelines of what to talk about today. If I may just address the point that is being raised by Puan Sarah Munira. The point number 1 is employment post COVID-19. So I guess as I've been told earlier, most of you are in your final year, has finished your study and is entering into the working world. You are now entering a challenging time. From what I can gather, talking to all my other friends in the legal practice, most if not all the firms are in a cost-cutting measure. We have had friends who got their salaries cut to 70% of their ordinary salaries. We even got one partner doing retail litigation. What is meant by retail litigation is banking litigation, where you do work for banks, for their recovery. We have lawyers there who got their salary cut by 60%. Indefinitely. There is no exact time for them to regain their position prior to COVID-19. So it's a very challenging time. But also I can see that the outlook is very much positive in the sense that we are still looking. Of course, salaries are being cut, but the works are there. It needs to be addressed. Case in point, I'm still looking for one chambering students to fill in vacancy in my firm. So post-COVID-19, albeit a bit challenging, but it's not that grim. It's not that grim. Cumanya point being, you have to have something extra. You have to have something that you might want to highlight to your future employers which will give you a head start against all the other candidates. Okay, that's addressing point number one. Okay, point number two, as was raised by Puan Sarah Munira, is the soft skills and the digital skills needed to enter into the working world. I think the bulk of my presentation today would rest on this issue. Okay, because we are looking for people. So I think I'm a bit I'm giving you cheating points, because if you were to interview with me, as I've advertised earlier, so these are the points that I would look into if you were to go into an interview with me, which I have made it a point to look at all the candidates that is going for an interview with my firm. All right. Okay, if I may just give you a few tips when you are going for interviews for pupillage, or if you're going to be an in-house counsel, or if you're going to be a government officer, right? I'm going to divide my interviews presentation based on 3 points. Point number one is pre-interview. Point number two is during interview, and point number three is post-interviews. So these three things are, I think, what you should focus on before you go for an interview, while you are undergoing interview, and when you have finished the interviews. Right? These are technically the soft skills because we are not sometimes the interviewers are not looking at your knowledge, because we can see that from your results. Sometimes the interviewers will not be looking at your knowledge, because we know that you won't know everything, because we as the lawyers, sometimes we don't know certain things. So we don't expect you, when you come for interviews, to know everything, but the basics we want you to be able to grasp a bit. All right, going into my 3 point study for pre-interviews, because okay, a bit about Azhar Aziz and Associates. We are a general litigation firm. We are doing mainly general litigations. We are not doing retail litigations. We are not doing banking litigation. General litigation generally is litigation where there are a lot of disputes. Normally it is contested. Contested meaning that there is a lot of application. The matter most probably will go for trial, as opposed to sometimes retail litigation or banking litigation. Retail litigation, banking litigation, if you are familiar with summary judgment, these are the mostly filed applications in retail and banking litigation. So we are doing general litigation. It's not run-of-the-mill cases. General litigation includes construction dispute, corporate dispute, tortious claims. So hotly disputed. All right. So when we do general litigation, we expect when candidates come to our firm, they know that we are doing general litigation. So before pre-interview, before you come to the firm, before you come for an interview, you must know what to expect. You must know what the firm is doing. You must know what the company is doing. You must know what position that you are applying for. That's number one. This can be easily researched. All right? Or you can ask around. Because contoh macam if you are going to be, for example, a corporate lawyer, or you don't want to go to court, but you are doing interview with general litigation firm, so that's not right. So we want you to be clear of what you need before you go for an interview. That's number one. And when you say that you want to be a litigator, for example, you must identify your areas of interest. Because sometimes when we do an interview, we will ask the candidates, okay, you say that you want to do litigation, so we'll ask why and what areas of litigation is your interest. So if you say that you want to do construction dispute, obviously we are going to ask you about construction law. If you want to do bankruptcy matters, for example, or you are familiar with bankruptcy, you took your elective, the insolvency law, obviously we are going to ask you about insolvency. So before you come to an interview, be sure that you be sure that you are prepared, or you anticipate whatever that come out of your mouth will be addressed by the interviewer. Maksudnya, if you identify your areas of interest as construction, expand on that. If you identify your areas of interest as maybe you like to do accident cases, expand on that. Because we'll be asking, if you talk about accident cases, normally what jurisdiction will it fall under? Because for accident cases, Sessions Court has unlimited jurisdiction. That will be the question that will be asked. So make sure that you are familiar with your areas of interest. When you answer something, expect to be addressed by the interviewer. So 2 points. Identify your areas of interest and know the firm, company, or the institution that you are applying to. Research on that. Okay, then point number 3, be presentable. Invest on yourself. Buy a good suit. Buy a good tie. Because at the end of the day, this will be the attire that you'll be wearing throughout your pupillage period. So don't skim. Myself, I look at this because when I went for an interview with Azmi and Associate, they look into this. They want their lawyers to be presentable. When you invest on yourself, it's not just for the interview, it will be your first impression. But for me, this is how you will carry yourself throughout your pupillage period. Of course, we're not going to tell you or to tegur you if you wear something inappropriate, but you are entering into a professional world. You are going to be professionals, so act professionally. That's I'm not going to delve deeper into the point because I think the times are limited. But these are the things that I will look into, and I will expect the candidates to know pre-interview. All right, and then point number 2, during interview. Okay, during interview, because I'm a litigator, I go to court, I'm bombarded with questions by the judge. I'm going to have a dispute with the other sides. The opposing witnesses will create trouble for me. So when I'm a litigator, my candidate, I will expect to be calm and composed. Not overly excited, not too scared. So I look for this in my candidate. They should be calm and composed, because sometimes when we do our interviews, we might have look relaxed, but we are assessing your response to questions. We are assessing your ability to be quick on your feet. Because you are, as litigator, as someone who goes to court, you are expected to have this. You are expected to change your position in a split second. You are expected to be, because if you are familiar with cross-examination technique, there is a technique called piggybacking. Piggybacking ni where you build your next questions on the answers given prior to that. Maksudnya you do not prepare the question beforehand. Your next questions is made up of the questions that you asked before and the answers from the witnesses. That is called piggybacking. So we expect the candidates to be calm, composed, and be able to think fast on their feet. Yeah, because we are litigator, we expect this in our lawyers lah. And also because if you go into practice, sometimes the clients will be at the gallery. The clients will be at the gallery dekat belakang, and you are doing your cross-examination. You will be judged. If you are easily rattled, if you are maybe have a bit of a temperament, this will be assessed by the client. This will also be assessed by the judge. And if you are going against a senior lawyer, they would try to hype you up to make you not be in control of your case. Sometimes this happens a lot. Alright. So these are the soft skills that we are looking at when we do our interviews. And then number two, again, this is due to the fact that we are litigators. I am a litigator, so I expect my candidate to be assertive, to be able to stand his ground. Maksudnya, when during interview, this goes back to you being calm and composed. So during interviews, sometimes you ask questions just to provoke you. Betul ke you nak kerja dekat sini? Betul ke? Because ours is not a big firm. We are only a 5% outfit. So sometimes you ask, do you really want to be in this kind of firm? So you cannot you cannot just be uncertain. You have to be assertive. You have to stand your ground. Why do you want to be in the firm? Because we gauge this. Right? Another fact is that why do you have to be assertive? Sometimes when negotiating salary, now as I've mentioned earlier, it's a challenging time. Companies, firms would take advantage of that fact because they also have a cost cutting measure. So kalau you kalau you it's not being assertive of your rights to ask for certain of certain amount of salary, because there should be a minimum salary that you are professionals. You cannot be paid peanuts, if you ask me. But it also has to depend on the market. My point in being assertive is that sometimes the firms will say that, oh, we can only offer you so much because this and this, but you have to say your results are such and such. I'm entitled to this amount. The other firm has offered me a certain amount. So be assertive. Again, being assertive is a mark of a good lawyer, of a good litigator. Never mind if you go in-house, because in-house, by being in-house, you are going to be advising the other department about the legal position. They will be asking you about legal position. So you have to stand your ground, be assertive, because this is needed. Yeah, of course, obviously you have to have a good knowledge beforehand for you to be assertive. You have to be able to understand that you being assertive is what the market is all about. So again, it's back to doing your research before you go for an interview. For example, katakan you try to be assertive at a salary of certain amount, but you don't know that the market is as such. So that's wrong. So back to doing your research before you go for an interview. Okay, and then during interview ni, of course, sometimes the interview will be casual, but you being the candidate, we expect you to act professionally. No giggling, no being overly excited. Maybe you can crack a joke one or two times, but yeah, it depends on you play it by the ears. You look at what the interview is all about, but it is safe to be professional at all times. This is what we look for in our candidates. Okay, that will be the 3 points for the interviewing part. Okay, post interview is where a lot of candidates fail. Not to say that fail the interviews, but fail to take all this into account. Number one, most of the candidates, they don't follow up. from my experience, out of 20 candidate, hanya satu candidate saja yang will do a follow up. Maksudnya once the interview is over, you balik rumah, you tunggu dia call. You tunggu the interview call, you tunggu the firm call, you tunggu the company call. Don't do that. Always do a follow up. Right? Because no one wants to be kept in the dark. I understand that. Our policy is once you go for an interview, we try to email you if you are not successful within 1 week, because we don't want you to keep you waiting. We don't want to give you false promises. So we try to inform you so that you can have the chance to go for interviews somewhere else. We try to do that, but sometimes we fail. But my point is always follow up. Don't just don't just wait and for the interview to call you. And then number 2 is post interview pun you have to be courteous. Maksudnya when you left the interview, be courteous, because you never know who will come calling later. In my case, it happened a lot of time. I think in the last 2 or 3 years, there are candidates yang when they accepted our offer, but they couldn't make it because they got better offer. So we will move on to the next best candidate. Maksudnya, we had one case last year where the candidate started pupillage for 1 month, but then I think she informed us that she is going to do her masters and to be an RA, research assistant, so she had to leave us. So what we had, but because we are still in it, we have to call the next best candidate that we had in mind, the one that stick to our mind. So we call the next best candidate. Yeah, because we remember him to be very courteous. He called back. He said, "Okay, thank you. I think my rezeki lies somewhere else." So we remember this guy. He's from ITM. He was the next best candidate. If, say, for example, that you were rude or you didn't follow up, obviously we won't be calling you. Because if you follow up, you show interest in our firm. So we want you to be with us. You show interest, you know what our firm is all about, and you are courteous. So that I think that is most important lah. Because courteous ni, courtesy ni, they run a long way. Because at the end of the day, these are the people that you will meet during the course of your career, whether you are in litigation ke, whether you are in-house ke. These people, me, Cik Fakri, all your other all your other friends are the people that you'll be meeting during your career. Okay, and then number 3 is post interview ni, you do not give empty promises. Maksudnya when we call you, we offer you a place, you say, oh okay, I can start within 2 weeks. But sebenarnya you have other offers that you are waiting for. This is not good. It's unfair to us, right? This also happen a lot, and we remember. Although we don't keep a grudge, but sometimes this thing would not look good on the candidates lah. So do not give empty. If you are waiting for other offers, tell us. Then we can move on to the next candidate. In effect, you are giving chances to your other friends to start with us. All right. So these are the points that I think that you would be better to have in mind when you go for your interviews, because to me this is important, right? Okay, so that would be the point on the skills, or on the things that you need to look for when you go for interviews. There are a lot of other things. I think maybe you have heard it from your lecturers or from other speakers. But for me, this is the points that I look for in my candidates, right? So you can take it as a cheat code lah before if you wanna do an interview with us. All right. Again, I'm still on the points of soft skills. That Puan Sarah is asking for us to talk about. Okay, now you have done your interviews, you have obtained a place in the firm of your choice or in the company of your choice. So what do you do? All right. Okay. Again, I'm talking from the perspective of a litigator, of a practicing solicitor. So when in practice, we expect, okay, this might be too much because we are talking about expectation, but this is important. Anywhere you go, the points that I'm going to talk about is very important, right? To me, the golden rule for fresh graduate, the number one rule, because as I said earlier, we don't expect you to know everything because we don't know everything juga. So, but what is very important is when you don't know, you be resourceful. That's my number one rule. Be resourceful. I would always admonish my lawyer or my people in chambers if they come to me and they say that they cannot find things that I can find in a jiffy. All right. So as an employer, we expect all our lawyers, especially, to be resourceful. Maksudnya katakan because we deal with government authority, for example. And then now we are living in the digital age. It's only Google. All right. So that would be my maksudnya if for example that apa nama ni we ask you to do a research. Kalau you if you ask me, being a litigator, it's not all about research. It's about knowing who to ask and what to do. Contoh, we have this one case where we were involved with the Prevention of Crime Act, right? POCA, Akta POCA, which involved the hearing before a lembaga pencegahan jenayah, right? Myself, I was doing this case first time this year. I didn't know that if you do a POCA, a case for Prevention of Crime Act ni, you must send your request to apa nama ni PMO, Prime Minister Office, yang ada lembaga pencegahan jenayah di situ. I don't know. Normally we would be addressed to Kementerian Dalam Negeri. That's what we understand, or to Bukit Aman. But apparently in PMO there's a lembaga under the purview of Prime Minister Office. My lawyer told me this. Extra brownie points to her because yeah, you have to be resourceful. You have to know your thing. You have to know who you ask. So when you are being resourceful, that means you have a lot of networking. You know where to ask. I think any organization would have loved someone who has that kind of extra points. I know for a fact that in Azmi and Associate, the one people who is very resourceful would be much sought after even from partners from other practice group, right? Because in Azmi and Associate, the system is the good ones are being put in pool. Okay, I have to digress a little bit. In Azmi and Associate, they are a multi-practice legal firm. Maksudnya they are a full service. They have corporate department, they have conveyancing department, they have litigation department, they have 4 or 5 separate litigation partners. So each partner may have their own practice group. So under them will be 2 or 3 lawyers, right? So when they took pupils in, these pupils will be put in this practice group. But the good ones are being put in pool. Pool tu maksudnya dia akan duduk di satu tempat. Whenever there's necessity, all these partners will call them. Oh, okay, I need this. Tapi the best one will be put under the senior partner's office, Dato' Azmi Muhammad Ali. And from what I can gather, the good ones or the best ones are the ones yang they can find anything that you want. They are good at their research. Honestly speaking, this all, because I'm only 10 years in practice, but this Azmi associate partners, they are 20, 30 years in practice. They look into those who can do their research well. So all the muters, all those who prepare the memorials are foremost on their mind, from what I can see, because research are most important in the legal field. Tak kisahlah you research cases ke, because you would have known by now that the law is flexible. Every year there will be new practice direction for the court. Every year there will be rules and regulations. Even now we are talking about apa nama ni, the law against anti-hopping, for example. It keeps changing. So if you are resourceful, that's an extra brownie point. So sorry, I've been long on this point, but you have understand that this is a very needful things to have when you are in practice, right? And then number two, from my experience, all the partners, all the all your employees would be very thankful if you always come back with a solutions. Maksudnya when we give you a task, we expect you to come back to us with solutions, not come back to us and say, oh, I cannot find it. If you don't have solutions, give alternatives. You don't just say, oh, I cannot find it, and then go back to your desk and wait for for a new assignment. No. Any assignment given to you, you must finish it at whatever cost. Okay, and then if you give alternative again, it will be much appreciated. There will be extra brownie point juga, since the partners, the employees, they won't know everything. Update them. Tapi ada juga cases yang we ask you just for confirmation because we know. Tapi always come back with solutions. That's golden rule number 2 lah when you are in practice. Okay, and then number 3, I think you have heard this enough, but I have to emphasize this point. Be resilient. Be resilient. We don't expect you to work until late at night, but we expect you to we do not expect you to complain either. Maksudnya you have to hadap saja whatever is being given to you, but you must understand that when you do your pupillage, you are going to be a lawyer. Don't make yourself do some mundane tasks, because that can be done by the staff ke apa. Tapi if you are still given tasks that ask of you for some things that you won't be doing normally, like photocopying ke apa, I think because at the end, when I'm giving you an example, when I was in Azmi Associate, every lawyer has one staff assigned to them. Alright, that is a problem. If you ask me, that is a problem, because when you venture on your own, when you started up your own firm, when you are starting up your own firm, it will be a problem in the sense that some things you have to start afresh. You don't do it when you were in pupillage. So when you start your own firm, it will be a problem. Now there is this system that is being practiced throughout Malaysia, the e-review punya case management. Okay, because you are entering into practice, of course you will encounter this. But me, because I'm a few years into practice, and when this system was in place, I'm already a partner. So this will be delegated to my lawyer and to my people in chambers. So when it comes to doing e-review, I'm a bit left behind. So this will be a problem. So my point being, if you are asked to do a certain job, e-filing for example, just take it, because you won't know how this might be helpful in the future. Don't complain. Okay, another thing is, because I think me and Cik Fakri is invited because on the basis of some entrepreneur punya point lah. Okay, being an entrepreneur, because we are running our own firm, what I can tell you is the most important thing in running your own firm is collection. How you collect fees from your client. This is the soft skills that is needed from day one of your practice. If you are thinking of starting up your own firm, make sure that this will be foremost on your mind. Okay, why I'm talking about this is because when I was doing my chambering, my partner asked me to do invoice. Right? Asked me to do bills for the client. To me, that is not the work of a solicitor, because we have staff, we have account staff, right? But as you go on, as you went on and venture on your own, this is very important. Otherwise, you have to go back to apa nama ni? There are seminars by Malaysian Bar lah yang will address the issue. Once you open up your own firm, they will encourage you to apa nama ni, to join all the seminar in setting up your own firm. But it's good to always have this basic. So I'm speaking of this from apa nama ni, from experience. So don't fret too much if you are given work that you think is unrelated to you to wanting to be a lawyer. Maybe you are asked to do some clerical work. Maybe you are asked to do some accounting work, or you are asked to do some filing work. This will be very much important once you apa nama ni, trying to set up on your own, right? Okay, so that I think that's the 3 points that apa nama ni, that I think is important once you go into the when you start your pupillage or you go into your working world lah. Okay, I've never been in-house, so I cannot speak from the point of an in-house counsel, right? So it is vastly different. But from what I can see from the questions, because our clients normally, when we work when our clients are MNC, multinational corporations, or GLC, government linked corporation, we will liaise with in-house punya lawyers. All right. The requirements are practically the same. You have to still be resourceful. You have to know which lawyers are good. Yeah, so this is where apa nama ni, the networking comes into practice lah. And then all in-house counsels, they are given files for them to look into, and they are responsible for this file. Again, they have to come up with the solutions for these files. So that's why that's where apa nama ni, the importance of coming back with solutions in your practice, right? Okay, so much for the tips for when being in practice, right? Okay, now I'm talking about what being a litigator. Now I'm telling you what you should expect from being what we expect from you when you are in court, right? Okay, point number 1 is when you are a litigator, first and foremost, right? A lot of people they forgot this. Your duty is to the court. Your number 1 duty is to the court. Tak kisahlah kalau you ada well-heeled clients yang pay you good, but at the end of the day, your duty is to the court, because you provide someone because they pay this sum, but they would try to dictate how you conduct your cases in court. That shouldn't be the case, because I remember this one apa nama ni, I remember this one sounding off from one of the judge lah. Because kalau you biasa di court, you will hear lawyers say that, oh, my instruction, my client instruction is this, my client instruction is as such. Most of the time, the judge would admonish you, hey, your client instruction, you are a lawyer, the quote was that you are not the mouthpiece of your client. You cannot just echo what your client says, because your duty is to the court. If you don't remember this, apa nama ni, then comes all the other problems. You will misrepresent yourself to the court. Right? You will try to come up with certain tactics yang to gain advantage for your client, because it stems up from this fact that you forgot that all lawyers, all litigators are uppermost an officer of the court, right? A bit of an advice: your clients come and go, but your reputation sticks. Once you did something, the judge will remember. So always remember that. Okay, and then point number 2, being a litigator, you should be kind to your fellow lawyers, right? Your brothers in arms. Okay, I'm telling you a bit about my practice. My clients are mostly lawyers, solicitors, because I'm doing litigation. Once you go out, you will see firms yang doing conveyancing sahaja. You will see firms or your friends yang doing criminal sahaja. Okay, you will see certain firms yang doing retail litigation sahaja. Right, this might be your opponents in court. This might be your friend. So if you are kind to your fellow lawyers, they will remember you. They will refer you cases. I'm talking frankly lah. So you must be kind to your lawyer, because at the end of the day, these are your these are your go-to guys if you have problems. You want business from them because it's easier. If your clients are from your own friends, they have their own sets of clients, but they are doing conveyancing, so they will refer cases to you. Right? So in economical perspective, it will be easier for you if you are being kind to other lawyers, because they remember you, they will refer you cases. Tapi sebenarnya lebih penting adalah you are in for the long haul. You are in for the long haul. Being a litigator, you go in and out of the court. You don't want cause annoyance to your fellows, because they can make life difficult for you. All right. In our practice, okay, in litigation, as you all know, in your civil procedure, in the rules of court, there are deadlines to be met with. 14 days to file affidavit, 14 days to file defense, apa semua. Right? So, if you are courteous to your fellow solicitors, your practice life will be much easier, because these rules are bendable if parties agree to some of the deadline, for example. Alright, from my experience, betul, kalau you are kind to your other solicitors apa semua, you can get extension of time to file your defense, for example. You make your life much easier. Trust me. During trial pun sama. Some lawyers, they are born to be difficult lah. But some lawyers, they also look at the other side and see whether they treat us well. All right. Of course, this is not something that I'm advising you to do. But if the other person is trying to make your life difficult, you will obviously try to make their life difficult. If you ask for extension that they don't give, right? Obviously, if they ask for extension, you won't give. It's a give and take kind of situation, right? Okay. And then point number 3. Okay, it's a bit of a pointer that some of the junior, because nowadays we got complaints from all the senior lawyers. I'm telling you honestly that the standards have dropped. Right? The courtesy is not there anymore. All junior lawyers are very combative. They are very confrontational. They want to win at all cost. Certain cases, yes, you might want to win at all costs because maybe you know something about the client that the other side don't know. All right, but being confrontational sometimes don't get you the result. Being too kind sometimes won't get you the result either. So you have to be in between. That is back to the main point. Your duty is to the court. Your duty is to justice. It might sound cliche. But if you are too confrontational, you lose sight of the bigger scheme of things. From when you go into practice, sometimes there are cases where the clients are at odds with each other, not due to any breaches ke apa, tapi due to bad blood, right? Okay, if you are not confrontational, maybe you can look into this. If you are calm and composed, for example, you can look into this from a different perspective. You might not be right all the time. The other side might not be wrong all the time either. Okay, even the court acknowledge this. Nowadays, most of the defamation dispute, for example, they ask to go for mediation first, right? Okay, itulah. It's kalau and then kalau you pergi into hearings and you go up against senior lawyer, because the difference between senior lawyers and junior lawyers is junior lawyers are the combative type, are the confrontational type. Sometimes they raise their voice to make their point. But when you look at the senior lawyers, the more senior ones, their voices or their style would normally be very calming, very composed, very disarming smile. The word is disarming. They always try to diffuse the situation because this would definitely be something that the judge would want to look into, because the court has been the court is looking at cases all day. The court is looking at disputes all day. So when someone comes with a disarming style, definitely the judge will side with the disarming ones, because when you act like you try to settle the things, you almost always be will be seen in a good light. So my advice is, don't be confrontational or combative all the time unless you go up against someone who is as such, because then it goes to being able to be assertive and to stand your ground. Right. Okay, I would go further into apa namanya, because it would take the whole day to talk about what is in what happens in practice and all the other things that need to be looked into. But at the end of the day, my advice is always be kind. Always be kind to each other, right? Always be kind to your friends. Always be kind to your fellow lawyers, because you don't know. Up to this day, like I said earlier, a lot of the senior lawyers yang dah tak larat nak buat case, right? Because they see that the lawyers who are kind, the lawyers who can be easily talked to are the one yang they can trust their cases with, right? So we got reference a lot from all the senior lawyers. Like I said, not being combative, not being confrontational, and be kind is the way to go, right? Okay. Yeah. I think that will be the end of my presentation. Okay. I will leave you with because other thing. One other thing. Apa nama ni? Fresh lawyers, white-eyed lawyers, they go into practice with ideals. Sometimes they think that the apa nama ni, the court is the echelon of justice. Okay, it might not be true. It might not be true, because judges are human. You can see that from some of the decisions. I'm just giving you an example of that case yang apa nama ni, yang the apa nama ni, Rosita binti Ali yang baru kena 8 tahun je sebab dera the amah kan. In the sessions court, dia kena bond of good behaviour. Sedangkan the hurt cause was grievous, but it was reviewed by the High Court dan kena 8 tahun. Alright. So if you are the maid, what would you think? Right. So my point is you can go into practice with the understanding or the apa nama ni, the notion that it's an ideal world out there. It's not. As you go along, you understand what I say. They are kata apa? There are cases that you think you will win, but tiba-tiba terbalik. Alright? There are cases that when you look into the law, oh sure, menang punya. So don't be surprised if this happen. It happened. Maksudnya don't give up. Don't give up and be realistic. Be realistic, right? Okay. Okay, that will be it. But I would like to recommend a few readings. As to my last point, that the practice is not what the court is not what it is. You may want to read, think about a book titled The Secret Barrister, Stories of the Law and How It Is Broken. This book is about This book is about criminal law practice in UK, which is the same as our criminal law practice in Malaysia, in the sense yang DPP is inundated with works, with a lot of cases that sometimes justice is compromised. Just to give you an overview of what is happening in our legal world, and then for your reading, untuk to improve yourself, I would suggest The Devil's Advocate by Sir Ian Morley. This will be a good book to start off into your career, hopefully. I will type this the name of the book in the chat space too, and then you might want to look into it. All right, I think that will be it for I hope I'm clear on the things that I talk about. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shamsul. That was really a good pointer. There were like a few good pointers there. All right, especially the one that I like, courtesy goes a long way. So I hope you all will remember that whenever you have to embark into your career phase of your life, all right, courtesy goes a long way. Always maintain good relationship with everyone around you. In fact, your brothers and sisters at your school, I mean, they might be able to help you a lot you when you're already outside. Okay, thank you, Mr. Harpo. Without further ado, let us welcome Mr. Fakri, our second speaker for today. Over to you, Mr. Fakri.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Selamat petang. Dengar? Boleh dengar?
Yes, boleh.
So, first and foremost, thank you both of my learned friends, Puan Sarah Munira as well as Encik Shamsul. We have been invited today to share with some of you regarding the topic of bridging the potential gap. Taking consideration of the post-COVID situation. So unfortunately, you guys will be graduating in these types of scenario, new norms. So what to be expect and how to survive during this situation. So yeah, agree. We have been in the same juncture as you all, thinking about what is the best for me. Should I consider to join AD chamber? Should I consider myself or more fit to the in-house practice, or should I undergo my pupillage for 9 months, or I'm more suitable to join the judiciary, become a judge, magistrate, giving instruction, so on and so forth. So from my personal point of view, there's no right or wrong decision. Whatever path you decide is for you to face it, keep moving forward, and make sure you arrive in your destination and reach your goal and objective to start with. Speaking about the post-COVID employment situation, recently I just completed the interview session in my firm. We had one vacancy. However, we received an overwhelming application from the candidates. We did receive about 30 to 40 numbers of application. Right. Out of 40, we only narrow down to the best 15 based on the resume as well as the academic qualification. So we call for an interview for 15 candidates. Right. So out of 15 candidates who turn up, try to impress themselves, try to impress us as the potential employer. We only narrow down about the best 5 for us to conduct second interview via phone. So, and then after the second interview, we only call for only one candidate to fill the position. Now, the what happened in the current situation, I can tell you from my point of view, may be right or may be wrong. The problem that we are facing now, or especially for fresh graduate or for the first and second year practitioner to find a job, to find a place, especially in a legal firm. Due to the economic constraint, cutting cost measures has been applied by many firms out here. So most employers prefer to select the best candidate, the candidate with a value and who can contribute to the success of the firm in terms of work and in terms of collection. Encik Samsul talk about collection. Yes, I do agree, because legal practice, legal firm is a type of a business. We are running a legal business in our legal industry. So, what is my expectation during the interview as one of the panel? Right? So, what I can think and share with you, all of you, qualification play an important part. People can be impressed by looking at your academic qualification. When you get A or B for your evidence, or civil litigation, or criminal litigation, somehow or rather it gives an impact. For me to understand, looks, you're a kind of a person who understands the law of evidence. You know what is the difference between admissibility and inadmissible. You know how to explain between documentary evidence and oral evidence. Maybe. Same goes to when I see, oh, looks, this guy got B or A minus for civil litigation. Means you're a kind of person who pay attention in class. Hardworking, maybe. And with a strategy to get a good grade in exam. But even though the academic qualification play a role in any interview session, but it does not mean that is the only and sole criteria for us to evaluate whether you are a good candidate or not. For those who does not doing well in their LLB, let's say they dapat about 2.34 or 2.4, that is not the end of the world yet. Who say you cannot success in life? Who say you cannot become a good lawyer in town? Taking example of the late Kapal Singh, maybe third class student but become a well-known litigator, a well-known lawyer, well-known MPs. But we have first class degree students like Allahyarham Tan Sri Raja Aziz Adrus. Good. And also the late Tunku Azlan Shah also is a good student. So no harm being a good student is a plus point, but don't feel bad or so upset if you're not doing well in your academic, because the working environment, the working life is a new the new chapter, new beginning of everyone's life. So the fact that if I'm not a good student during my school time, but I work very hard, contribute my energy, my brain, and my effort to improve my skills, improve my knowledge, surely I can end up in a good position maybe in 10 years time. I don't know. To be honest, yelah, honest means jujur kan. Dulu saya selalu tidur juga dalam kelas. And then, tapi the attitude, I change it when I start working. I do believe any candidates or any practitioner should have a right attitude to improve knowledge. Unfortunately, you choose this profession means you must push yourself to read books, to read articles, to get to know the latest development of case law. And it's good if you can equip yourself and get to know the latest development of political scenario. So because sometimes during your interview, the panel might ask you a question outside the academic or legal knowledge. They ask you about what is your stand with regard to the current government, ruling government. So what do you understand about the votes in parliament? Right? So can you explain whether the removal of the speaker of Dewan Rakyat is constitutional? Maybe, I don't know. But if you do a lot of reading, you read news, you read articles, you listen to YouTube, you can listen to song, but sometimes please allocate some time to listen to good things, good materials. Maybe it helps. So another point that I stress out during my interview session as a panel, I do look at the way you present yourself. As some of it Cik Syamsul dah share tadi, but from my point of view, to add on, I used to ask the candidate to choose any area of law for he or she to discuss with me. If I were to choose any area of law, I'm afraid we cannot discuss at all. So just choose any topic or any area that you well versed in, and you can explain very well, or at least with a reasonable explanation is enough. For example, like, if your panel asks you the same question as I ask my candidate, contoh, okay sir, I would like to explain about documentary evidence. Tu kan yang belajar kan, maybe the best that you can have the knowledge about. So, okay, tell me about the documentary evidence. So maybe you can explain, yes, in court, so we have two types of court indirectly. Court of law and court of public perception. So when you talk about court of law, everything must be proof. You need to have evidence. Not only evidence, but evidence which is admissible. You have a good evidence but inadmissible, no point. You see A murder B and you can figure out the knife, but the knife was not tendered during the proceedings, but no point. So even though you are not explaining from the point of academic point of view, what is documentary evidence as defined under the section blah blah blah. So okay, I can understand, but if you can explain using analogy, using example, or maybe I'm being impressed because I know you are a type of person who not only understand what you say, but you can even giving example. All right. So I used to watch the movie of Three Idiots. If you guys also watch the movie, there's one smart guy always talk about something he really understand from what he read, not according to that textbook. And also another point is I quite impressed with someone always think or say something out of box. Because to me, to win a case in court, or rather to get a justice or judgment in your favor, it's equivalent to a war. So to win a war, not necessarily you have thousands battalion, the latest weapon, and full of bullets, but you talk about the strategy. You talk about the strategy how to win the case. For example, like you know when to reveal facts and evidence. You know how to arrange your witness. So who should go first and go last? Who should talk what? And you know how to manage the hostile witness. For example, janganlah cepat upset. When you start cross-examination witness, especially your opponent witness, when the witness start giving an answer which not in your favor, you start upset. You start being provocative. Just think, how to handle the witness. Right. So, what I'm trying to say is, I'm expect candidates, if you come for an interview with me, I'm looking forward to see someone always think out of box. There are two types of smart, the book smart and the street smart. But to become a good lawyer, you must have a good combination between these two. You must read and you must learn soft skill. I mean, I love to watch movies lah. One of the movies that I love to watch is Few Good Men. Few Good Men, the effort by the actor to find the truth, the answer from the witness is so hard. It takes a couple of weeks just to find one answer whether the major asked for a code red. And finally, through various effort, technique, art and skill, he managed to get the answer at the end of the proceedings and convict the major. So other than that, I'm looking forward to have and work with a candidate with full determination, discipline, highly motivated, and can work in a team, right? Because sometimes maybe it applies not to junior, fresh graduates, or also apply to senior lawyer who easily turn upset when we cannot think commonly. We cannot agree on certain things, or we cannot express our disagreement on certain things. Please welcome all ideas. Please welcome all argument. Analyze it and form it into the best solution for your client. So I'm not going to battle with you or against you to become who is the best between us. But we are representing the same client. We want to have the best idea to be presented in court, to win the judge's mind, to convince and move the court to agree with you. That is litigation is all about. To convince the court, others, to persuade others to agree with you. Right? But maybe sometimes I understand what we are facing in court. The judge, how do I say? The High Court judge and above, the Court of Appeal, the Federal Court is more easy to agree with a senior lawyer. But I don't take it as a disadvantage to a junior lawyer. We learn the technique. We hear what they said, how they submit, how they relate to the law. Then we learn from there and improve ourselves. So that one fine day will become as far as the senior lawyer. So don't get upset too easy. And then work in a team. Welcome all ideas. Don't try to always persuade others just to agree with you. Just allow everyone to talk and see what are the points that you can consider and combine with your ideas. At the end of the day, you can come up with a good argument, a good point to be submitted in court. Highly motivated. Highly motivated means, honestly, from the candidate that we just interviewed recently, there's one candidate talked to me about she have submitted 100 application for an interview to become a junior lawyer. Out of 100, none call them to attend the interview. So bad, right? Kesian lah, kesian. Another candidate come all the way from Kelantan. She said, looks, I want to try to find a job in Klang Valley. I'm a litigator. So I asked this girl about the application that she have applied from a different firm. She said, looks, I've sent 40 application, 15 call for an interview, no one call for the real job. So, and then I did ask some other candidates, what are you doing right now? I'm working at the Watson as assistant manager, sales manager, gaji RM1,300. And another candidate, I asked, so dah 6 bulan, 7 bulan tak dapat kerja, what are you doing right now? I'm working as a cikgu sandaran or cikgu tuition with RM1,500 a month. I know it's tough. The situation now is tough for everyone. But it's tough for you and it's tough for an employer too. And then I used to ask this question, one last question to every candidate. I just want to see the way you think, the way you reply, and the way you handle I'm being provocative. I will ask this question. All right. Tell me why I should hire you as compared to other candidates. Right. So that question is very subjective question. And for me to test you and for you to become confident to explain and persuade me to agree with you that you are someone worth to my organization, to my firm. You can contribute something, you can improve the existing business, you may strengthen my team, you may contribute to the society in whatever way. So that I love to hear from any candidates. My last question. So why I should hire you as compared to other candidates? To conclude, I would agree that the post-COVID situation is tough for everyone. If you go and attend any interview out there, observe whatever that Shamsul share with you. Everything is important and all elements is important. Prepare yourself, at least know your potential employer. If you come to Shafi & Co, you don't know who is Datuk Shafi Abdullah, I think it's so bad. If you plan to join a litigation firm, but you come to the conveyancing firm, it's bad. When they start talking about instrument 14A, you cannot explain because that is not your area of interest. Same goes if you want to undergo a pupillage for under conveyancing unit. You come to the general litigation firm. They will ask you about injunction, which is you don't know. So know your potential firm. Know who's there, what they are doing, and please portray yourself in impress manner so that you can win your potential candidates' heart and mind. And the last point, after you get to know your employer, please tell them the truth. Most of my candidates, when I ask a question, they start to play around or try to go around the bush just to impress me on something he or she don't know. I know that he or she don't know, I know. The way the eyes bling 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 and then dia mula tengok kiri, tengok atas, bawah, I definitely know that these candidates just talk rubbish. But I'm not going to say that you make, yes, of course, I appreciate you make attempt to answer my question, but don't foolish us because we know the law. So if you don't know, for example, I ask you about, let's say, can you explain to me anything that you know about Section 340 of National Land Code about the indivisibility of title? Maybe you can answer by saying, looks, as far as I have the knowledge about that particular section, it talks about the indivisibility of title, where you can challenge the ownership of the title if you can prove any limb in section paragraph A, B, or C under section 340. So my next question is, okay, can you comment about Adona Property and Bonsung Bunyanik with regard to section 340? If you know, you know. If you don't, you say, I'm so sorry, sir. My knowledge is limited to section 340, but I can't remember the facts and the gist in Adona Properties, but you give me some times, maybe I can read and discuss with you. Just be honest. If you talk about Adona, if you want to give a try, for example, like Adona Property, they talk about the contract of supply machine. Just to impress us that you know the case, but it's wrong facts. You know, you know, you don't know, you don't know. We are not going to get angry if you say you don't know. Just tell us the truth. So I guess that's all I share as for now. Coming back to the moderator. Puan Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Fakri. Well, banyak soalan-soalan. So that's good for you guys. To job seeking process after this, we would be acting on interview again with me during Unit 4. But whatever our speakers have mentioned just now, they are all basically consistent with the content that I'm going to touch on our Unit 4 this month. So I hope you don't forget that. Please take note of what our speakers have mentioned just now. They are good tips, really good tips that may help you out for whatever kind of job that you are looking into. Of course, our speakers today both are lawyers, but I'm sure that some of you might not be entering into this lawyering work. Some of you might be interested in something else, but basically, for general applicable most of the jobs that you might be seeking for after this. All right. Now we have come to the question and answer session. So may I open the floor to the students, to any of you who might have any questions for our speakers? Anyone?
Hi, Madam and Sir.
Yes, Adiba.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can.
I have a question. How do that is the most interest? That is your area of interest. And I am scared to pick one that I would not enjoy either. And how do you know that that is you are interested in the most? I mean, it's scared to pick one. That's why. That's a question. Sorry.
Mr. Shamsul or Mr. Fakir?
Sikit je saya explain. If I correctly understand the question, is the question from one of the students asking, how do I know that area of law is suitable for me? Maybe like the criminal law is suitable for me, or civil litigation is suitable for me, or conveyancing. How do I know that? I would like to answer in a simple way and using analogy. I don't know the taste of pizza if I never eat pizza. I don't know the taste of chicken if I never eat chicken. You only know what suits you the best when you experience that. When you experience something, then you can make up your mind. Looks, this is not suitable for me. I'm more suitable in maybe any other areas. I'm doing a litigation for throughout 10 or 11 years, but now I'm going to narrow down my niche, my areas to construction law. I'm doing litigation, but now I'm more interested to explore new areas of practice, which is the construction law, the construction dispute. What happened inside the dispute between the contractor, subcontractor, the dispute regarding the plan, the architect certificate, the QS, engineer. So there's only come to my knowledge that no, I love this area after 10 years of practice. Not at the very beginning. I never know that I'm going to love this area. When I start my master's LLM, I'm doing master's LLM, I taking few subjects in maritime law. At that time, I believe, I more interested to explore the law of the sea, the maritime dispute, ship collision, ship arrest, blah, blah, blah. But no, that's not suit my soul, right? So I love contracts. I love to read plans. I love to read the architect certificate and argue about the data. So only then I realized that this area suit me most. I can do a criminal litigation as well, but again, I feel I'm more comfortable to do and explore this because a lot more for me to explore regarding this area of law. So to our beloved sister here just now, my advice is don't limit yourself to if just because you think based on reference or discussion with your family, with your friends, you think, oh, that suit me most. Or saya tahulah masa belajar, the most famous subject is criminal law because you talk about someone's life, you talk about the real offense, rape, cheating, dan macam-macam lagi. And you think like, wow, I want to explore that. Wow, I want to be in the crime scene. Wow, ada interview daripada news. Oh, masuk TV, masuk paper, blah blah blah. You feel that suit you most. But when you try once, maybe, oh no, I'm not ready to deal with all these criminals. And then I'm not ready. I cannot push my brain to think and caught by surprise because in criminal litigation, everything is caught by surprise. Even though 51A, you can have a document earlier, but sometimes what the witness will say, the IO will say, you only can listen to the testimony during the trial day. And you cannot push your brain to think for and prepare the cross-examination. So you may be interested in doing a corporate litigation or corporate works. You love to read, you love to understand line by line, you love to do a tedious work, very meticulous. Maybe corporate is suitable for you. So as for now, I would say don't limit yourself. Explore everything that you can explore. And later you decide what is the best for you. And grab it, go for it. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Cik Shamsul, would you like to say something? But you need to answer this first.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah. That is a good question. That is a question that I myself has been asked a lot. Right? How do I know the areas of interest that I'm most suitable in? Right? Okay. Because sometimes we get questions yang kata, hey, if I were to join a small firm, I only get to do a certain areas of law. All right. So my choices are limited. So would I then join a bigger firm? Because in a bigger firm, they have everything. They have all departments. As I've stated earlier, in Azmi and Associate, they have every department that is available in the practice. They have the corporate department, they have the litigation department, they have the conveyancing department, and then they have they even have a specific Islamic banking department, right? So if you go into this type of firm, maybe the trend then when I started my chambering, the trend then was that we were promised that we get to be involved in all of the practice group. Maksudnya the first 3 months, okay, you are attached to litigation department. Then the second 3 months you'll be attached to the mungkin financial services department, and then at the tail end of your pupillage you get to be attached to the corporate department. But that is not always the case in this big firm, right? Although you have the choices, but once you are good in that say for example that the partner in the litigation department that you are attached to for 3 months say that, oh, okay, you are a good fit to this department, they won't release you into the other department unless you ask, right? These are the chances that you will get in a big firm, right? However, if you go into my firm, for example, or Encik Fakri's firm, Encik Fakri's firm, I think has a lot more areas of practice. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's doing corporate a lot now. Correct me if I'm wrong, Encik Fakri. But if you go into this, into my firm, for example, we are doing mainly general litigation. So before you come, we would want you to already identify the things that you want to do. All right, what happens if you don't like it? You tell us. You tell us, then we give you a choice. Okay, now that you think you are not suitable to do litigation, you are the shy type, you're the introvert type, right? You're not the one yang suka bercakap dan suka bergaduh contohnya, kan? You tell us, right? Maybe we have something for you. Okay, my firm ni, when we take people in chambers, it is with a view to retain, to be a lawyer. We don't just take you for 9 months and then let you go. Never mind how good you are. We take you with a view to retain you, to be our lawyer, maybe to be our partners, maybe to expand. So, if you go to this small firm like me, like us, right? We want to expand. So if you say that you cannot do litigation, okay, why don't you do our corporate work? We can do the marketing for you, for example. Or you want to do convey, okay, we have a bit of a convey, maybe we can push you there. Alright, tapi you have to assist us for something else lah. We can do that, but you tell us. Alright. Tapi soalan daripada Cik apa nama ni tadi, kata how do I identify? That we cannot answer. That we cannot answer, alright? You have to, as Cik Fakri said, you have to do it first. Then baru you tahu. But sometimes when you go into a firm, you don't get to do it because macam saya, litigation, hari-hari memang you cannot do anything else. Alright. Tapi kalau you want, of course, there are a lot of personality tests out there. Kan? Ada DENFG test, all sorts of tests. Kalau you go to JLC, you go to MNC, macam Shell, they do this type of personality test to show which departments are you good in. Right? Maybe you can, I don't know, have a look, but I think by the time you graduated, you would have an inkling of what you are good at or what you are interested in. Maybe. Tapi yelah, the question is how do I know? Macam Cik Fakri cakap memang betul, memang sangat betul. You kena try dulu. Tapi kalau you ask me litigation ni, apa nama ni, you go to court, the skill sets are the same. You have to know how to argue, you have to know how to cross-examine, you have to know how to submit. But the substance tu, maksudnya kalau contoh construction law, dia ada specific act. There is substance. That one everyone can read. You get what I mean, betul tak? Contract law.
Yes.
That is the substance. So everyone can read. Everyone can be resourceful, like I said. But for you to be litigator, there is a certain skill set that every litigator has to have by now. Contoh macam calm, macam Cik Fakri kata lah, you're not easily provoked. Mesti you have to think out of the box. That skill sets, I think that it is inherent in a litigator, but the rest, the one is apa nama ni, something that you can be resourceful in lah. I hope that answers the questions. Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Cik Shamsul and Cik Fakri. Adiba, I hope our speakers have answered your queries just now. You never know until you. Right, any other questions from the floor? Okay, we have a question from Muhammad here. As explained earlier by the and other structures, may I know the significant differences they offer and also decide firm on fresh. Maybe Encik Shamsul can answer this.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Sorry, you were addressing the question. You were addressing me on that question, yeah? Hello?
Yes, Cik Shamsul.
Okay, so the question is, as explained earlier by Encik Syamsul regarding big firms and other structures of firm, may I know the significant differences they offer and also the impact of such firm on fresh grad students? Right. I think as I've answered Ms. Adiba's question tadi, I think it relates to this question by Mr. Izzat. Right, because in big firms, they practice smaller, they practice what is called, this is my experience from Azmi and Associates. So they have, for example, they have 8 partners, right? Each partners had a different practice group. Myself, I was in the litigation and arbitration practice group 2 back then. There were 4 litigation and arbitration practice group. So you can loosely say it's a firm within a firm. Okay, it's a firm within a firm. Okay, if I were to go into detail, then I think it will confuse the hell out of you guys. But the structure of Azmi and Associate is that every practice group is responsible for its own collections. They are answerable to the bigger structure, right? Tapi how does it impact fresh graduates? I think from my experience, being in a big firm is a good stone to start on your own, right? Because you can always you can only go upwards, you cannot go downwards from a big firm. If you get what I mean. Maksudnya in a big firm, you already understand how big firms are run, in the sense that they are more structured, right? So a fresh grads would want to be exposed to a more structured system. Okay, I'm not saying that small firms are bad, right? But the question is, number one is about the choices that or the exposure lah, right? That you have to all this practice group ni. Number two is the fact that when you are in a big firm, okay, I'm talking about the advantages of being in a big firm to a fresh grad. But you have a lot of people around you then that you can seek assistance, and they are always there. Faham tak? They are always there. Then you have, say for example, you have a corporate punya partner or corporate associate. You can always go to them and ask certain things. You have a corporate conveyancing yang bangunan besar-besar ni, bukan just subsale yang biasa-biasa. So you can always go to them and ask about certain complicated conveyancing issues. So you are exposed to this kind of thing the first year of your practice. It is good. It's vastly different from the small firm, because small firms, they are niche firm, they are boutique firm. They are only a certain types of things that they do, right? So if you are outside the structure of that firm, then you have to maybe get someone from some friends or some other partners lah. Alright. Tapi the orang kata apa? The downside of being in a big firm is they are not mine because Azmi and Associates, they are more to corporate firm. They are not really a litigation firm. Alright. So once you are in a litigation practice group, sometimes the cases are not that much to go around with, and there are a lot of other pupils. Alright. And then okay, I'm talking about culture lah. I'm talking about culture in a big firm. Alright. Sometimes these partners, because they have a lot of people in chambers in their firm, naturally they would lean towards the good ones. Faham tak? Maksudnya semua kerja dia akan load towards the good lawyers. I'm not saying good in the sense yang the results are good, because when you want to go to the big firm ni, they already have their screening process, so everyone is good there. Myself, I'm not that good. Cuma I was lucky because they were looking for litigation from ITM. I think you will be very well aware that ITM students naturally are perceived to be good litigator. And then I think my master was Yang Mulia Datuk Raja Ahmad Muazzanuddin. He was one of the speaker here last time. So he was from ITM. So he veers toward getting your ITM. But my point is, if you go to a big firm, it's more of touch and go punya system. Either you get a lot of work or you get the less mundane works. Alright. Tapi it is always good to be surrounded by a lot of lawyers. Itu saja. Because you get you get to kata apa, you get to be exposed to a lot of areas. Okay, and then the other thing is sometimes the big firms ni, if you go to big firm with a view to being retained, you have to be really good. You have to be extra. Myself, I was lucky because I think my partner was a bit demanding, right? They would look to macam lain sikit. So we are the one who is willing to go the extra mile, kerja sampai lambat apa semua. So that one is extra lah. Not many people can do that. So I'm lucky in that sense. Okay, cuma like I said, in a big firm, ini dia punya extra lah as opposed to small firm. But if you go to a boutique firm and you already have interest in that, I suggest go for that boutique firm. Contoh macam ada a few firms yang doing maritime law, for example. Ada firm kalau tak silap yang doing just sports law. Sports law ni expert dia di dalam Malaysia ni 1-2 saja. Richard Wee, if I'm not mistaken. So if you go with a view to do sports law and you venture into this, you are already ahead of your time. Moving forward, memang you je yang buat kes sports law. Sekarang ni kalau you tengok sports law semua Richard Wee. That is one point lah. Macam Cik Fakri, kalau construction law is a very good area because now we have SIPA, Construction Payment and Education Act. We have arbitration. It's where the money is lah. So so that's different. If you go to a big firm, number one, of course it's good because you have a lot. Number two, kalau you with a view to being retained, you must be extra. Number three, if you want to be a partner or long term there is a system that you have to adhere to lah, as to collection. Tapi I'm a bit biased to a big firm because I chambered there lah. Cuma ni to me is a good experience when you venture out on your own. You already know that there are a certain system in place yang you can use in a small firm. Macam tu. Okay, one more thing. Kalau you go to a big firm, you will get more supervision. Sebab kadang-kadang bila kita tengok junior lawyer ni, fresh graduate ni, kalau dia pergi ke small firm, kadang-kadang the lawyers there in a small firm would just let them be on their merry way. Buatlah apa saja. Tapi kalau ada masalah baru datang. So if you make mistake, kadang-kadang you will keep that mistake until the end of it. You tak tahu pun you salah because less supervision. Right? Itu yang kalau big firm ni, kalau you buat salah, of course they will tegur you memang sebab dia punya kata apa ni lagi inilah. Itu yang paling penting is supervision lah. Supervision. I think that should answer it. Right.
Yes. Alright, thank you, Shamsul. Is there any more questions? Perhaps we can take one more last question. Anyone? No more? Perhaps a question from, so since you are in litigation, so what would you like to go into lawyering in the first place upon graduating? Not joining the service, not joining in-house or any other thing. Perhaps we can start with Fakri first.
Okay, sorry. The way I understand your question is why should the candidate choose practice or undergo a corporate training under any legal firm as compared to judiciary in-house?
I'm asking on your point of view now. What you go instead of joining the service? In the very first place when you graduate, what made you take this?
What made you choose this career and path? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is my answer. Maybe right or maybe wrong, I don't know. I believe everyone in the world cannot become a prime minister.
Sorry, Mr. Fatri, I have accidentally muted you.
Sorry. Okay, start again. I believe every people in the world cannot become a prime minister, and not everyone cannot become not everyone cannot become a pilot or a sweeper, or we need someone to wash the toilet, or we need someone to do the accounting, we need architect, we need engineer, we need in-house lawyer, we need prosecutor, we need judges, as well as we need lawyer. So why I choose this? Because number one, um, I'm being inspired by the book that I read about Tan Sri Abdul Kadir. Tan Sri Abdul Kadir is I think the only couple in Malaysia who become the member of parliament and cabinet minister those days. So I read this book a lot, and I inspired by the story of Tan Sri Abdul Kadir and Tan Sri Fatimah Hashim, the wife. Number two is that is my rezeki at that particular time, to be honest. When I start doing my chambering, on my first day, I received a call from Jabatan Peguam Negara to attend for an interview. Baru je buka office nak buat chambering. To me, like, oh, I have a very bright future with AG Chambers, but what I'm doing here now? Saya tengok pintu and a small office. I start practice with Nik Sagir. I do my pupillage with Nik Sagir Ismail, and not a big firm in Shah Alam. So I said, I should join AD Chambers, or I can apply judiciary, become a magistrate, giving instruction. Everyone, lawyers, witness, prosecutor will listen to me because I'm giving instruction. I can send someone to jail, right? I can give my advice, the best that I can advise the society. Oh, why you do this? You should avoid from doing this. Please pity to your son. I love to do that as well. But again, the question is why I choose to become a practitioner from day one of my career. Number one, that is the rezeki that I think Allah give me, and I don't know how should I end my journey. I'm not going to dispute whatever outcome from the decision I made. I will enjoy it. I'll try to do my best because I used to climb mountain. I climb from the bottom part of the mountain up to the top. I'm a determined person. I love to change something from nothing to something. I love to do that, and I enjoy my life doing that. So I take the challenge. I said to myself, looks, one day, definitely I will contribute something to the legal industry. I started practicing in 2010. My first case in federal court was in 2012. 2 years after practice, I'm doing a motion in federal court for a leave application. Even though my age is just 39 now, not even 40, but I'm doing a case in lower court, high court, court of appeal, federal court, Mahkamah Buruh, industrial court. So I think I've experienced all courts in Malaysia except the native court in Sabah Sarawak, of course. So whatever that I choose my path that time, I definitely enjoy it, and I want to do the best and to give the best to my profession. I spent, I think, about 50,000 to complete my diploma in Ireland. Go and coming back every 3 months, staying, I think, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in Ireland and coming back to do a trial in Court Shah Alam. And at the same time, I have a family, I have a kids. I'm enjoying everything. So I think don't regret whatever decision that you made. Just do it and do it the best and give the best. And please, if you want to fall, please fall forward. Keep moving forward. Don't ever regret. So that's my answer.
Right, thank you, Encik Fakri. So for those of you who might not be so sure on what you're going to do next, so probably you have got something from whatever Encik Fakri has said just now. All right, it's already 5 something, so looks like that we have come to the end of our session today. But before we end the session, let me just make an announcement first, just to remind all of you that you would have to complete the next profiling, next career profiling before the start of the first unit on Monday. Don't worry, I'll be sharing the link again in our WhatsApp group later on, or you can just Google up next career profiling as I've shared just now in the chat box. And that's about it for our Monday session. And before we end our session, let's just have a picture together. So maybe you can turn on your camera so that we can take a picture. Come on, don't be shy. Semua malu ni.
Come on, lawyers.
Siapa tadi yang nak pergi interview dengan Encik Syamsul ni? Come on, show your face. Seorang. 2, the rest? Adiba, my camera is not working. It's okay. For those of you whose camera is working. Okay. All right. On the count of 3, yeah. 1, 2, smile. Once again, 1, 2, smile. All right, that's about it. Okay, thank you to our speakers, Encik Syamsul and Encik Fakri. So I hope all of you have benefited greatly from our sessions today. So till we meet again, one fine day, inshallah. And students, Monday, don't forget, okay, we have sessions from 8:30. So please don't be late. Miss Naim would start off the sessions first for 2nd and 3rd unit, and then I'll be doing the next session on in the afternoon. All right, thank you to our speakers, Cik Fakri and Cik Syamsul. All right, Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Bye.